Proceedings for tonight and the last session of the day, we've brought together an esteemed group of experts and stakeholders to help NGOs negotiate and implement the best and next practices for their organization. Building capacities of NGOs is imperative for improving the socio-economic ecosystem and developmental change in the region. I would kindly request everyone to find their seats and settle down so we may invite invite the speakers to the dais. Kindly please find your seats. So with that, may I now invite the esteemed experts onto the dais. First, we have Dr. Nidhi Pundir, Global Head of CSR, HCL Tech, Director, HCL Foundation. Ms. Richa Dutta, Associate General Manager, Corporate Partnership, Resource Generation, Children's Rights for You, East and Northeast. Mr. Asim Khan, Head, Corporate Social Responsibility, Cadence. Mr. Chandrakant Pradhan, Program Lead, Climate Resilience, CII Foundation. Ms. Mitali Nikor, Founder, Nikor Associates. Mr. Prithijit Lowry, Head CSR, Government Relations and Capacity Building, CII, MCC, Confederation of Indian Industry, also known as Bobby. And he's already made his way to the dais, but I would also like to introduce Brigadier Ashish Bhattacharya, Principal Advisor, Northeast and Union Territories, Confederation of Indian Industry. Now I would like to invite Brigadier Ashish Bhattacharya to take forward the proceedings of this session. Thank you. Could the dais kindly stand quickly for a group picture?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. So this is the last session for the day, and like someone pointed out, that it's a challenge being in the last session, but I think we can have the last word. So let me welcome all the participants and all the esteemed speakers who have come on dais. Mr. Prithijit Lahiri, Ms. Nimitali Nikor, Chandrakant Pradhan. He unfortunately could not find a place here, but he's there in the audience. He's going to come up. And Mr. Asim Khan, Richa Datta, Dr. Nidhi Pundir, and welcome on this on the dais and as our esteemed speakers today. So just a little background I thought I'll give you. With so many NGOs of the Northeast and of course the big ones from rest of India being available at one place, we couldn't stay away from the, I would say it was a lalach that we don't speak, we don't, do something for the NGOs to make it a perpetual thing for the coming years. We have had our experience in the Northeast. We have found that the NGOs there, especially, not all of them, are able to come up and raise adequate funds for their projects. And as a result, in CII, we started this thing of capacity building of the NGOs. And we have been able to do one till now, but this year we have planned 3 in Nagaland alone. And with the help of other corporates, now, in fact, today we have had one-on-ones to ensure that we now spread out to the rest of the country, rest of the Northeast, and look at all the states, especially the hill states which are unrepresented. So, this, I think, should create a good funnel for the coming years. Our plan is not to do this CSR Connect as the one-off event. We plan to carry on like this, in this manner, for the next 5 to 6 years, so that this funnel is made into a perpetual permanent funnel for the NGOs to find some place where they can voice their requirements, they can pitch their presentations to the corporates, and the corporates who we are sure that they want to contribute to the development of the Northeast region, but are not able to connect correctly with the implementing agencies and the NGOs. So they will find them, we will help them find the right partners in the states to touch base at the grassroots level in the states, to bring up all the, they bring about a social revolution in that area if possible. And I am sure we will succeed in our endeavors. With this, without taking too much time, I would change the sequence a bit, because there are some commitments, especially meetings with overseas partners. So I would request first Dr. Nidhi Pundir, who is the Global Head of CSR HCL Technologies. She is the director there, and HCL Foundation. She is the director of the HCL Foundation. And what we are doing is, we are talking about certain areas of best practices. We have requested them to come up and talk about them, so that the NGOs gain out of this dialogue. So over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, and once again, congratulations to the entire CII team, which has taken this initiative of unlocking the Northeast, potential in Northeast rather, because it's also, I would say, unlocking for ourselves the potential. We've been traveling, and many of the friends I know who are seated here from NGO community, I think we've met on several symposiums which HCL Foundation conducts, and I can see several nods in the room. Rather, in 2016, HCL Foundation started a very unique program called HCL Grant, which is now known as HCL Tech Grant. And we took into cognizance the fact that it was almost an untouched region so far grants for NGOs were concerned, and we began to travel extensively. I still remember my first travel to Northeast when I joined HCL from, international development sector 9 years ago. And Guwahati, when I was sitting in one of the cafes, generally networking, and I went to then Guwahati, they were setting up the Tata Institute of Social Sciences. We met some of the, people already working in development fraternity. There was a clear confirmation that hardly any CSR donor comes here, even if there is their work. And one question that I was posed by NGOs as well as individuals was that why would HCL Tech come here? You hardly have any business over here, or do you have a business interest? And we were like, no, we keep CSR at an arm's distance, and we very much go by the needs assessment, and we've done our fact sheets, and very categorically, the 16.5 crore commitment, which used to be 15 crore commitment in those times through HCL Tech Grant, we are inviting applications, so apply. And I remember our first symposium somewhere, I think we've covered all states with symposiums all across, and now there are grants in 5 states already through HCL Tech Grant. And before I go further, I would just want to mention the first grant went to Elethros Christian Society for Healthcare, and all the 3 districts they took up, we've been able to extensively bring down the maternal mortality rate through the grant. I have myself visited the PHCs. which were in extremely difficult state in those times, and now they have already won the Kayakalp Award by Government of India. So I think that's the transition that has happened. Wildlife Trust of India won the second grant. Elephant corridors were conserved and preserved through community contribution. Mekshala Trust has won the other grant on protecting the local dialect in Sikkim and convening education through the local education system. ECHO has won another grant, Shishu Sarathi, and I really don't want to go in details, but ISER Pune, Tata Institute of Social Sciences, anybody who's willing to go and work in that region, besides the local NGOs, have also been winning the 5 crore as well as the 25 crore grant. Before Bhattacharya ji stops me, I really want to tell all NGOs over here that right now the HCL Tech grant portal is open. And one reason I decided to myself come today and address was that please don't miss this opportunity, because I saw wonderful proposals just now on sports, on elderly care, on health, and on child protection and so on. They will all qualify for the grant opportunity, and I think some of you have already been part of the due diligence. So higher you are in the merit, jury definitely takes into cognizance. There's my colleague Rahul sitting there, and I had just seen Robin somewhere, but contact him, and I think he's done one session with you, and I could see that most of the project proposals are already, that's Robin entering the room as I speak. They have been conducting symposiums. They've just returned from Hyderabad region. And I always say that there should be a competitive spirit. I think the session is about capacities. When corporates will come in, they will always ignite you with some kind of competitive spirit, and there's nothing wrong with it, because the funds will be always limited, resources will be always limited, and when we get to the national level jury, one region competes with the other. I was told by the HCL Tech grant team that when they went to Hyderabad, they had arranged some 350 seating, but the room was overflowing and they had to do some 500. I was myself at the Chennai symposium. We had arranged for one hall at IIT, and then I realized that we were being broadcasted into 3-4 different full halls over there, and that's the interest for HCL Tech grant. So Northeast, we are actually competing with the rest of the country who's equally applying for these grants, and they're professionalizing their way of writing the proposals. But and despite all the competition that comes to HCL Tech India grant, I am so happy to say that the prominent grant so far, with almost a commitment of 20 crores deployed on ground in 5 states, have been won by Northeast. I think that's the beauty of the region, that the genuinity, the transparency, the way you approach the issue. We have worked, in fact, Rahul and I often discuss, when we started to work in Nagaland, 18 or 19 hours, we would just travel on roads. There was no sight to be seen, and now at least there is a road network. We have seen the change in the region ourselves. Manipur, I remember my first visit, we just had 50 people in the room when we did the symposium. So, the outreach itself was so difficult, so we decided that we'll not restrict to just Assam, we'll go to different, irrespective whether 10 people come or 15 people come. We have gone, and we have actually, whenever we announced a grant, we have gone and we have engaged with you. So the help desk is open right now. Please take advantage of it. They will teach you everything about how the proposal should be written. There is no fee. I have heard there are some consultants charging some mediation, etc. It is completely free of cost. Advisory will also be given to you. Few points. We also work on sports. Sports is a big agenda. So please, separately, you can reach out to us for sports. We also work on disaster risk reduction and response extensively. So whenever there has been a disaster in Northeast, HCL Tech CSR teams have got activated. HCL Foundation has always been one of the first to reach. We have prevented rhinos from drowning and whatnot. So there are hands-on team which would be there on ground. There is a very, very genuine interest. Over and above what HCL Foundation does, There has also been an initiative under Shiv Nadar Foundation where we've been able to enroll students in Vidyagyan from Northeast region, and I think which is a big move by the HCL group itself. But then in terms of capacities, I always find it to be a little bit of a forum where I think there's a lot to learn from what our friends from NGOs are doing on ground. And I would just end with one anecdote. I was traveling the region, and one Amur falcon was returning in Nagaland for the 3rd time. I don't know how many of you work on conservation projects. And I was actually visiting for health programs, but then it so happened that they heard and they made me the chief guest of a Thanksgiving ceremony, which was being organized for return of a migratory bird 3rd time. They were tracing the bird. And me and my, we were saying, so, this much of honor and this much of respect. So the entire community was there. In fact, there's a little recording somewhere on YouTube. We'll send it to you. At least 20, 30 villages had come together to host me and my team. The love and affection, and we were walking, and for almost 4 kilometers, we were wondering where are the Amur falcons, because, we were so excited. But when we actually reached the end of the corridor, which was created by the NGO as a corridor for conservation, and when we reached the end of the valley, we saw thousands and thousands of Amur falcons roosting. So people often say that in Northeast people will not leave a bird alive or something. It's not like that. It's very, very conservation oriented community. There's a full community which is letting them roost, protecting. The bird was visiting 3rd time in Longlang, I remember very categorically. And all I can say also to my CSR friends and donors present here, the love, affection, and the return on investment, because we are corporates, we have to use that word, that you get by investing in that region is beyond any impact. So thank you for having us here, and we continue to remain associated.
Thank you very much, Dr. Nidhi. And points to note from what she said. NGOs, please note, the HCL Tech portal is open. So you know where to look and what to look for. And she's already told you 20 crores. So the next crore could be yours.
Next 16.5 crore.
Next 16.5 crores. So you know what is at stake. As far as competition is concerned, I think it's a very valid point and a very good point that you made. Today, everyone is competing. 2 children of the same mother, they also compete. Who gets the better quality milk or amount of milk? So I think it's a very, in fact, I would just like to intervene on a small this thing. We had about 74 applications from NGOs. 74 NGOs had applied, and we did not have so much of bandwidth to incorporate everyone's presentation here. And also there was a question of meeting the requirements of the corporates. The corporates are looking for certain elements in your presentation, and those elements are the ones which takes a little time and understanding to get it. So today, whatever presentations we saw were top quality. There's no doubt in that. But there were others who still have to work a little harder to compete. So what we did was, we went in for third party led a selection system, proper, and it was part of the steering committee of for this event, which sat over 3 sittings and cleared who should be able to, in this short given time, who all should pitch and in which all sectors or themes. So if some people have not been given the chance this time, rest assured that you will be given adequate opportunities with whatever ecosystem we are trying to create or will create in the future to make sure that you get a chance to pitch to the CSR fund operators and all the corporates in the next tranche. So with that, can I request Mr. Prithijit Lahiri, the head of CSR, Government Relations, Capacity Building, CII Model Career Center. They are helping Confederation of Indian Industry reach out to many states in the country to do immense amount of good work in the skilling side. So he would be talking about skill development requirements for NGOs. Which areas and what type of skills they need to build up after they have secured the funds to be able to effectively deliver what they have to deliver. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Brigadier. Thank you, everybody, ladies and gentlemen. I had interacted with a few of you during the prior webinar. Who all were there? Can I have a raise of hands? Quite a few. Wonderful. But today I'm not going to talk about compliance. Today I'm here to talk about skill development. Skill development is how we upgrade the human capital. I have been traveling in the Northeast for a very, very long time. I first went there on work in 1987, and I think I've traveled the length and the breadth of the Northeast ever since. And the people are amazing. There is a lot of potential there. And the problem is that there is not enough employment in the region. So there are two ways to tackle this. One is to ensure that industry is developed there, which is not the mandate of this conference. Second is how we can upgrade the people there and have them placed. I have a small presentation which I will be taking you through. We call it Building Bridges to Prosperity, and transforming and empowering human capital in the Northeast. So we at Model Career Center are present across 16 states in the country, including the Northeast. We are there in Assam and we are there in Tripura. In Assam, we worked across 6 districts, and we have networked extensively there. We are present in 15 states in the country. What we do is pretty simple. We aggregate jobs, we aggregate jobless people, and we match them. We are basically an industry-led employment exchange. As we speak, I have a bank of 35,000 jobs with companies that are looking for people. And not just any company. You have Tata Electronics, you have Hyundai, we have PwC looking for people, and we've been sourcing people from all over, including the Northeast. CII, of course, has more than 9,100 members, and we at Model Career Center are working with more than 7,000. So we do career counseling. We are not in the business of skilling. We are the last mile connectivity between the skilled youth and the jobs, because the final outcome of whether it is education or whether it is skill development is the deployment of such people so that their living standards, their education, their income levels are increased, and through that the larger impact into the families, which goes into the education of the younger people, the health care, the nutrition, and the other factors also increase. We have counseled more than 8.9 lakh youth across the country, and we have given 5.9 lakh jobs. When we talk about these figures to some of our foreign counterparts, they're like kind of shaken, because that's about the entire population of their countries. But this is the scale. Unless we make an impact at scale, we cannot make a difference. In the Northeast, in the last 6 months, 8 months, we have reached out to 3,500 people. We have provided career counseling to almost 2,000 people, and we have conducted 30 job drives for many, many companies, top-notch companies, and 1,105 people have been provided employment. Now, coming to how the NGOs who are here with us in this forum can interface with us, is that we have an industry engagement team which is across the country. we have the knowledge of which are the sectors which are employing people, which are the job roles in which people are required, and what kind of people, what kind of skills are required in these job roles. We are completely agnostic. We would be very happy to work with you guys. You know, in case you give us manpower, you skill the people, send them to us, we will give them employment. We are here to do that. And we are currently working in Assam and Tripura, but this year, from by the end of July, we will start our operations in Meghalaya and Sikkim as well. So going ahead, we are looking at operating across all the states. What are the sectors, you may ask? The sectors that are giving jobs right now is manufacturing, it is hospitality, it is retail, it is logistics, it is BPO, IT, ITES, and several others. And in this, the people from the Northeast have a huge, huge advantage, because their basic customer service, customer facing manners are very good. There are a lot of companies who are asking us for people from the Northeast. So please interface with us and help us serve the people of the Northeast better. We have moved a large number of candidates to Hyderabad, to Bangalore. One of the things that I used to hear when I started my journey in skill development 13 years ago is that people from the Northeast don't want to go to the other parts of the country. That is not correct. That is not correct. It is maybe we need to look into the mirror in terms of how are we career counseling them? Are we giving them a job? Are we giving them a career? Are we telling them about the lifestyle, the growth in the future? How are we tackling their concerns? We need to be listeners more than speakers. Very ironic since I'm a speaker now, but I'll come to the questions later. So once we understand the youth and we understand what makes them tick, then they will listen to us. And girls seem to be far more open to relocating than boys. The boys keep saying, my mother will not let me go. Oh my God, where will I go? Will it be safe? And the girls are moving in droves. I will later show you pictures of 100, 150 girls at the railway station. And then the police comes, then the RPF comes. Where are you taking these girls? And then we show them letters from Tata Electronics Limited, Hyundai Motors, Schneider, and so many other companies. So one issue that I would like to touch on in particular is the healthcare sector. The Northeast consists of people who are very caring, very gentle, and very empathetic. This is a trait that is highly required in the healthcare sector. Healthcare sector is booming in India, whether it is because of the lifestyle diseases that we have got onto ourselves, or whether it is because of the changing demographics. So there is a huge projection of manpower requirement in healthcare. So if any of you are willing to work in the healthcare sector, do get in touch with us. We would be delighted to tell you what are the roles that we are looking at. There are requirements across the country and across the world. And we are also setting up a healthcare institute in Assam, in Guwahati, very shortly. So we will come to you with that news hopefully very soon. The other thing that I would like to touch upon today is regarding India being the youth capital of the world. We have the highest number of young people in the world. The average age in China is 38. The average age in India is 28. So that is the demographic dividend. And we've been speaking about it for so many years. But we need to encash this dividend. The countries across the world are looking at us for our manpower. Countries like Japan, we just, we were speaking to a delegation from Japan yesterday who are going to visit Assam tomorrow for manpower from Assam to be deployed in Japan. So today, we told the Japanese that UK is looking for manpower, Japan is looking for manpower, Singapore is looking for manpower, Germany is looking for manpower. Whom do we give? We will place them at the best possible place. So please improve your offer. So whether it is Japan, whether it is Finland, whether it is Singapore, whether it is the Middle East, Australia, these all countries are tying up with us. and giving us opportunities. We would be delighted to work with each and every NGO who is interested in this sector so that we can develop people, send them abroad and change their lives forever. Countries like Finland, countries like Australia are giving family visas so that they can settle down there. This will be changing their lives forever. The only thing I get scared of is if all my nurses are going off, then who will take care of me as and when and if I ever get old. There is also another thing that the Southeast Asian countries, Korea is going to open up very shortly. Korea, Japan, Singapore, they have a great propensity for people from Northeast. They have had the experience of the people from Northeast, and as I mentioned in my initial remarks, that the empathy, the care, the basic manners are very important, and that is there. It is a hidden gem sitting there. We just need to recognize it and put it in front of the world. So we are looking at support from the industry, support from the government, and the one thing that is not here and which I will speak about is support from the NGOs, the NGO partners. Because as I said, we are not into training. We identify areas where people can be deployed, where people can be given careers, and then we help them go ahead. And as the guardians, I would also suggest that the NGOs should not just look at giving them a job. We should be keeping in touch with our wards. We are their guardians. So that 3 years from today, they should be able to come back to us and say that, okay, I have gone through this. Is there any new skill that I should acquire? Is there any new qualification that I should acquire to take me to the next level? And once we have done that, it's going to become a revolution. So thank you. That is all from me at the moment. I'd be delighted to take questions at the end of the session.
I'll not let you go. He covered the skills that CII Foundation through this MCC is doing. This is the skill development projects that he is talking about, where he's urged all the NGOs to look at this sector as one of the very potent sectors. And whenever we go and interact with any government in the Northeast, the first thing that comes up is this, that please skill my boys. So that is for the skilling of the populace. Can I really ask you to just cover in a very short while
Certainly.
the skills that NGOs must acquire to become more effective in whatever they do? It is not that today I decide that I would become an NGO, and without skilling myself or repurposing myself or re-skilling myself, I would be able to take that on. So if you have any thoughts
Absolutely, absolutely. That's a great question. And it's very important because one of the challenges that I face in the social sector, and I come from the corporate sector, long history in the corporate sector, is that people are here with a golden heart, but they need to develop themselves and to present, especially since we are talking about CSR. We need to be having that capacity in our mind. We need to understand, I had talked about compliance, I need to talk about fund management, project management, and understanding what is in it for the company. When the company is giving money, yes, Section 135 of the Companies Act mandates that a company should give 2%, but one has to look at the social rate of investment, return on investment. What is the return on investment that you are giving, and what is the sustainability? So that, if I'm in this organization, I am funding you for 3 years, how do I ensure that at the end of the 3 years, there is sustainability and it keeps going forward? It could be that you could hand it over. So I have always looked at myself as a social venture capitalist. I come up with a concept, I demonstrate the concept. Once the concept has grown and once the concept has created value, the community will take that ahead. And statistical analysis is another very important part. We need to capture data. Today, the most valuable companies in the world is Apple, Google, Facebook. Do they charge? Do you pay for your Gmail? No. Do I pay for WhatsApp? No. But then how are they making money? They have gold. You also have gold. We are just not monetizing it, we are not analyzing it. Statistical analysis, data capturing is one of the most critical things that we need to develop. So it's a journey, it's an evolving journey, and if you have read the book called Infinite Games by Simon Sinek, it talks about, you know, setting yourself an impossible goal because that is the only one worth reaching. And financial management is another part which I've spoken about, because companies are looking at every paisa that is being spent, because that is being audited and that is being reported. So please focus on these areas, and I'm sure, and relationship management, I'm sorry I'm taking too much of time, but understand that if somebody accosts you on the street outside India Habitat Center with a box and says that I am raising money for poor children, will you pay? No. So engage with your donors. When you engage with them, don't tell them I need the money. Tell them I don't need the money. You are a very experienced person. Please come, visit what I'm doing and give me your inputs. And put that on your LinkedIn. Put that on your Insta. The mileage that that will give you will be far more than the mileage that just money will give you. So build relationships. It's a long-term game, and you can do it. Thank you.
Thank you, Prithijit. Now I think the whole spectrum has been very well covered about the skilling. So I'm really, and you last time also when you spoke about the compliances and all, it was a very, very wholesome training that you gave, and there were almost about 65 NGOs which participated in that. Most of them have become successful, because of which they are in that hall exhibiting.
Wonderful.
So in fact, the capacity building programs that we did in Nagaland and what we did there has done a lot of good, that we can see by the quality of the pitch sessions, and also now the talk that we are having with people. I find that change and the difference that has come in.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So thank you so much.
Pleasure.
With this, we come to the next subject matter expert, Ms. Mitali Nikor. Now she is the founder of Nikor Associates and also an advisor to the World Bank. And they have done a lot of good projects in the Northeast. Now they are working with the Land Ports Authority of India to do a study for them. So she would be talking about the impact assessment and SROI. That is what you were saying, one needs to skill oneself into the methods of how to report back and how to do it, what is required in that. Mitali is the right person to talk about.
Should I do it from here or from
As you wish.
I'll do it from there. It's
Perfect.
a little easier. So thanks first goes to CII and to Ashish sir for bringing us here, for including Nikor Associates, in this entire program, because when we were brought in, we were told that, okay, we have 75 applications and we have to come to 8. And we said, what? How are we going to do this? And I think in about 10 days time, I must mention Punya from my team. I don't see her in the room, but she's there. She has been working literally in the CII office every day for 10 days, along with, the team, and Ishita is also there from the team. To actually make sure that, we select the best possible people for the pitches, best possible organizations for these pitches. And why is that? What do we mean by best possible, right? I just want to give you a little bit of an insight into 2-3 areas that become very important from the donor perspective, right? Because I work with World Bank so much, and I work with ADB also, and I work with JICA also, and I think these are all names that you may have heard, because, in Northeast, you find that these donors are quite visible. So one of the things the donors look for is, acha, is this project going to work if I am not there in this project after 2 years? That's a very important, element which we call as sustainability. That, is this project sustainable institutionally? Is there a very good team of people behind this project, promoting this project, saying that yes, You know, whether this donor is there or not, I'm going to find another donor. But I will keep doing this project. So that is the kind of passion, but also what is called sustainability that donors are looking for. You know, many of our clients are the donors, and that's what they tell us. You know, when you're looking for a person, CSR, you know, we are a CSR donor. When you're looking for telling us to go for this NGO, please tell me that this NGO is working already, and they want us to be there. Of course, we'll partner, but it should not depend on us. Second thing they look for is the idea should be innovative, but it should also be scalable. So it's something different, yes, but not itna different and out of this world that they can't repeat it in few more locations, you know. So definitely 1 location, 2 locations, 3 locations at least, with some tailoring, of course, for that, you know, to suit the conditions, but it should be replicable, scalable, and yet there should be some elements of innovation. So what do we mean by innovation? Innovation means if you are bringing in a focus on climate resilience, you know, green elements, gender, you know, you're bringing in something around, okay, we are going to have more and more women-led initiatives, then that is always appreciated by the donors. Or you're bringing in local, you know, employment, that because of this project, you are going to generate these many local jobs. And that brings me to the third and most important element, which I'll be talking about in more detail today, which is numerical data, right? The quantitative elements of your work. Whenever you are going to any donor, you can tell a story, and that's very good. That will get them interested. But what will get the money out of that donor is to give them the data that yes, I have a reach to X number of people and it costs me X amount to reach those people. So it may be that your project is very innovative and you can, but it is so innovative that you can only impact 10,000 people. That's okay. It doesn't mean the donor will say, no, I only want for 100,000. 10,000 is good. But the cost of reaching those 10,000 people should not be too high, right? You should be able to say, yeah, I can reach 10,000 people easily and I can offer a innovative solution. On the other hand, if you can reach 100,000 people, then that's even better. It depends on your solution. So nobody is judging and saying you must be reaching a very large number of people, but it matters that you are documenting the data that I am reaching these many people, and yes, out of the people that I'm reaching, these many are women, these many are children, these many are from, you know, different communities. I have got all the dashboards and monitoring mechanisms in place to be able to report to you what I'm doing. These 3 elements, if you have, you will crack it. At the end of the day, these are the 3 most important elements that donors are looking for. At least from the international organization's perspective, I can say this is what they are looking for. Now, on the other hand, we also have to talk about, of course, we are at the CSR Connect. So one thing which CSRs have to do, right, as per the Ministry of Corporate Affairs guidelines that have been issued, and circular was issued in 2021, all CSR companies are typically expected to take up impact assessments and something called social return on investment analysis. So they have to quantify what is the amount, you know, that they have spent, and then what is the social impact that spending has resulted in. Now, doing this social return on, you know, impact assessment is for us, we are economists at our organization. It's quite, we have, you know, done many of them and we know how to do it. But at the same time, what you have to keep in your mind as NGOs is collecting the data is very important. As much data as you can keep collected, it becomes easier for any agency like ours to come in and then do that SROI analysis or do the impact assessment. Then at what point should this be done? Maybe it is not necessary to do it in the first year. It can be done after 2 years also. But you should be prepared that the CSR donor can even say that in the first year I want to do. So at the same time, again, it's about your capacity that you say, yes, sure, if you want to do it in year 1, I'm ready. I have all the data. You can come and observe what I'm doing. And on that basis, your third party evaluator can actually say that, we are doing a good job. It will be a good assessment. Because a third party evaluator like us, when we go in the field, we will always report what we are actually seeing. Right? If we are not seeing the NGO do a good job, we have to report that also. So it is very important that you are prepared that this kind of a assessment can happen at any time, Now, firstly, this is little technical, so I won't spend too much time on it. But again, you have to remember that corporate CSRs are often adopting two types of methodologies for doing CSR. Either they will do it before the project begins, and based on the numbers and the forecast that you are giving them, the data that you are giving them, they will say, okay, this is what I expect to achieve. And based on this, they will set targets for you. That, you should meet these many targets, this much investment you have to make in your community work. On the other hand, they could also do it after 1 or 2 years of the project implementation. That, okay, I have seen that you are implementing like this. Now, based on this, you are, doing this. I'm fine with evaluating what you are doing. If they are using the first method, the forecast method, that is when you have to, be careful in your targets. Because then they will set quantitative targets for you from the beginning. Whereas, if they are going for evaluative, then that's a little bit easier from an NGO point of view. Because then you are going to just report your actual numbers. You don't have to worry about targets from before. Now, I don't want to go too much into this case study, but basically this was a CSR program that we were evaluating on, skill training for women. And it's a very standard kind of model. I mean, it's not like something very innovative. It was a skill training center that had been set up in a northern state. In that state, we looked at, okay, what is it that the women were earning before the project? What are they earning after the project? How much has the increase been? But what we did in our evaluation, something which, which the corporate also did not actually anticipate would be done, but we did it, was to do an evaluation, was to do an impact assessment qualitatively, where we went and spoke to the women. For at least 150 women beneficiaries out of this entire program, we spoke to understand how their lives had changed because of this project. Now, this is also something you should be prepared. That if there are beneficiaries that you are in touch with and such a third-party audit agency is coming, then they should be able to say, how the project benefited them, any of your beneficiary groups. So this is also important that you are interacting with your beneficiary groups constantly. So with that, I think I will just stop and say that overall, when we are doing this work with CSRs, with private sector, it's little bit different from doing it with government agencies and with donor agencies. There is a lot of reporting that even donor agencies require, but corporates require lot more quantitative assessment. So please आप अपना data collect करते रहिए. Please collect your data very regularly. Be in touch with your beneficiaries and be aware that these kind of assessments will be held and that you will have to cooperate and you will have to also be part of the assessments. So I hope this is helpful, and if you have any questions, we have our booth right over there and my team is there, so you can come and ask us questions and we'd be happy to answer. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mitali, for the lovely insights into this SROI, which I heard for the first time a few days back, and then went on to understand what it involves, and I realized it is a science in itself. Am I correct? So it is a science in itself, because we were trying to, look at these 7 sectors and try to find one common method to do the SROI, and I realized that it can't happen. It is just not possible, and that too, it is like, after many hits and trials, I thought I knew quite a lot of things, but when I sat down and started working with Mannat and with Punya, we could not come to a conclusion. So I gave up that exercise. So it is a very tricky subject, and I am sure when you, as an NGO, you are looking at only one vertical, so you can concentrate, focus on that, and then look at all the tools, techniques, and all the data that are required to put together a cogent report which excites the donor. It has to excite the donor, and when we talk of donor and when we talk of corporates ke andar you will, it is even bigger challenge, because the questions asked would be many more, and they would be very pointed. So with that, thanks again, Mitali. Can I now request Chandrakant from CII Foundation? He is the program lead, climate resilience, and with him, Mr. Asim Khan, the head of corporate social responsibility of Cadence, would also let the NGOs know how to manage CSR funding and how to attract funds. So over to you, Chandrakant.
Thank you, Brigadier Ashish. Good evening, everyone. I'll keep it very simple. I'll bring more of a practitioner perspective, more of a grassroots perspective, as well as CII, how do we look at the fundraising issue and why it is important for the growth of this sector. And as Brigadier Bhattacharya said, I have Asim with me also. He will bring the corporate side. He's a young, dynamic corporate professional. So basically, together we think of giving you some real life insights. So I work with CII Foundation. So in CII Foundation, I have been part of some of the large transformative initiatives. So I'll share some of the my experiences. Next slide, please. So one of my friends recently telling me, this is the most exciting time to be working in an NGOs. I said, why? Because there is so much you can do, so much funds you can raise. There are so many options. Before 10, 15 years, that was not the case. Now, like, there are a few donors, and there are very set kind of programs, which were like decided by some real experts. But these days, things are changing so fast. So, there is so much new things always coming up, and everyone is looking for new things. So, I mean, if I look at just numbers, anyway, you all know these numbers. So, just to, excite you. So, the overall, overall funding that is coming to social sector in India, it's last year's data from Niti Aayog, is about 28 lakh crore. And CSR spend, we know it's about 28,000 crore. That's the last year data. These data are always thrown, so I'm not. And also there is the philanthropic money that is coming to this sector is around 33,000 crore. And then there is foreign FCRA grant. I don't know what amount that is, but this is the kind of pool of funding that is available for all of us. It's up to us how we can actually leverage that. So, and that is, and it is to be spent, by the way. The CSR funding has to be spent. Like government has made it so that you cannot actually hold it also. So it has to be spent. So I mean, how do one leverage it? So I mean, if you look at that fundraising thing, basically, I mean, like I see, I before coming to CII, I worked with all few of the large reputed NGOs. So I know that like all the big NGOs has a very capacity to actually design projects, execute projects, talk the story. But the smaller NGOs sometimes they find it, although they are also catching up. I know that, but still basically. So this fundraising, it's not a like one project immediate thing. It's actually a very long term thing. So you should have a very long term idea about how do I go say this is the thing I'm doing, but what is my 5-year strategy, like a corporate things. And to do that, actually, you need a very inspiring storyline. Like no one these days are excited with like same kind of project. People need a very exciting, like storyline has to be really, really persuasive. For example, building a classroom is okay, but why you are building that classroom? What is the story? So that storyline has to be very, very kind of touching, as well as it has to be really, really transformational. Even if you are working at a small place, but what is it that you are actually doing, how it is transformational, what is the change it is bringing to the lives, and how it is solving the real life problems. So I think my previous speaker was talking about how you should keep data and how you should like keep the, I think those are real good advices. But to keep the data, you should actually produce that data, and you can only have the data if you have actually made the transformation. Otherwise that data will look very fake. So basically you have to actually have a very inspiring project idea, you should work on it very passionately, and then you should keep the data. So then it will become a real life kind of thing. And then that should be scalable. So basically the design of the projects, whether you are a small NGO or a large NGO, the design of the initiative should be such that it's a very inspiring kind of project. And to do that, actually, also you need to have the credibility of the organization. Like you should have a good management team which can execute, and also look at some of the mundane things very religiously, really seriously, like doing an annual audit, doing impact reports, putting your annual reports on time. Sometimes in the kind of pressure of delivering projects on the ground, sometimes we miss these things, but these things are very important, especially like building your credibility. So many of the times we notice that a lot of the NGOs do very good work on the ground. If you talk to unless you go and talk to the beneficiary, you don't know exactly about their story. And this is not one or two, like I have traveled widely in the grassroots, and I know like a lot of NGOs are doing very good work, but actually they are that credibility that they have, the kind of trust people have on them, that doesn't actually reflect sometimes in the reports, etc. So it's basically these things might look very mundane, but they are very important. Third thing is basically also partnerships. And these days, I think in the morning sessions we were hearing all the government departments were saying how they are keen to actually invite NGOs to come and work. This is actually music to the ear to many of us who are in this sector for some time. In earlier days, you had to go to a government office 3 to 5 times and then convince that I am going to do this. But the things have changed certainly, and basically as the development sector, we should actually leverage that, and it's actually a very good thing. Also, the expectations of the donor community is, it's as I said, it's not a very linear thing. It keeps on changing. So, for example, I go to Asim. I just cite a very small example. Recently, we were initiating a new project in the field of environment conservation. So he basically suggested us that we should do a carbon accounting. So and I come from the execution from the CI Foundation. So initially my thought was that so these carbon accounting guys are they're like very costly people. Like if you have to hire them, you have to pay a lot of money. So I was thinking rather what should be the real use of this? Whether we should actually use that money on the real work, or whether we should actually hire a very costly professional to do a carbon accounting. So basically, initially that was the dilemma we were in, but finally we realized that basically if you do a carbon accounting, that brings that credibility. Like we always say that we changed the, we brought about this much of change in the climate change, etc. But what is the actual data you have? Unless you have a actually, accounting, unless you have a data that is verified and verified by a competent party, you cannot actually say this with conviction. So sometimes this kind of this kind of suggestions, when it come from the other side, they might look very outrageous sometime, but they might be actually useful in the long run. Before I go to the next thing, maybe Asim, please, over to you.
नमस्कार साथियों, मेरे पास कोई पीपीटी नहीं है क्योंकि पावर करप्ट्स एंड पावर पॉइंट करप्ट्स एब्सोल्युटली. सो कभी कभी बिना पीपीटी के भी कर लेना चाहिए, स्पेशली जब एक्सटेम्पोर हो और लास्ट मोमेंट हो. तो दो तीन चीज़ें वी हैव बीन, आई डोंट थिंक एनी टॉपिक वुड हैव बीन remained untouched. We have been hearing so many good people who are working on the ground. People know so much about Northeast, and I think most of the things might have been covered. So I won't go into what are my views and thoughts. But just a couple of things that I have realized is that since morning you might have heard that CSR mein only 3% is spent in Northeast and all those things. But I am very active on LinkedIn. So the proposals or the connects that I receive from Northeast are even lesser than 3%. So I don't know why that is happening. And जो भी लोग हमारे पास आते भी हैं, the people who are doing work in the Northeast, they are generally NGOs based out of Delhi, Mumbai, and all those places. But if I am there as a CSR person, I want to hear from the people who are living in the Northeast. अगर वो मुझे, if they tell me something, then it brings in more authenticity. You may call me anything, but if you are raising your own issues, and many of my friends who are from the Northeast, they really strongly put up their issues and they know a lot of things. Second, the mistake probably that we make is we make, when we say Northeast, we make a sort of a homogeneity out of it. Northeast is like any other place in India is very heterogeneous. Assam, you're getting 400 crores and not getting, and why in Assam, that's another matter of research. So, couple of things. So, I have known Northeast people to be very, अगर CSR आप तक नहीं पहुंच पा रहा है तो आप CSR तक पहुंच जाओ. And how? ये सिर्फ मैं jargon नहीं देना. I'll tell you how. So, we are doing a project. We just got it approved verbally and we are working on the written approvals, and probably by the end of this month or the starting of next month, we will be rolling out a project in which we are inviting the climate tech startups who have a technological solution to cater to that climate change space. We are inviting startups and we will be, supporting them to further accelerate their idea. I invite all the social enterprises to apply for that. I will be putting it on my LinkedIn. Go to that, apply on that, and if you have a great idea, I will give you my word that it won't go unnoticed. I am giving you my word from this platform. So you have an opportunity, and these kind of opportunities you have to capitalize on. If you are doing a scholarship project, for an example, if we are saying कि नहीं हम सिर्फ, बहुत बार इल्ज़ाम लगता है CSR पे कि नहीं आप तो सिर्फ दिल्ली मुंबई में कर लेते हो, ठीक है. अगर दिल्ली मुंबई में कोई स्टूडेंट पढ़ रहा है और वो नॉर्थ ईस्ट का है और हमने उसको सपोर्ट कर दिया, तो क्या हमने नॉर्थ ईस्ट को सपोर्ट नहीं किया? हमने नॉर्थ ईस्ट को सपोर्ट किया. अगर लेकिन आप, प्रॉब्लम ये है कि जब हम अपनी CSR2 फॉर्म भरते हैं उसमें हम लोकेशन लिखते हैं. अब जो हम लिख देते हैं पैन इंडिया, वो तो अकाउंट नहीं होता. लेकिन अगर हमने दिल्ली में प्रोजेक्ट किया तो हमने लिख दिया दिल्ली, तो लोग कह रहे हैं कि नहीं 3% ही हुआ है वहाँ नॉर्थ ईस्ट में. हमने अपने प्रोजेक्ट्स में जो बच्चे दिल्ली में, IIT दिल्ली में, IIT मुंबई में, IIM में पढ़ रहे हैं, हमने उनकी स्कॉलरशिप का इंतजाम किया है. अब अगर आप कह देना चाहते हो कि नहीं ये तो नॉर्थ ईस्ट में प्रोजेक्ट नहीं हुआ, हम तो लोकेशन बैरियर पे हैं, फिर तो ऐसा नहीं चलेगा. सो वी हैव टू फाइंड अपॉर्चुनिटीज लाइक दीज. जैसे मैंने बताया कि we are doing a climate tech startup and you can apply, you have to grab onto this. If the world is not looking onto you, I've always seen people from the Northeast, they have always snatched the opportunities. They have always been kept at bay, but they have broken the door. आप हमेशा पॉजिटिव मैनिफेस्टेशन की बात करते हो, पता नहीं CSR में इतना नेगेटिव क्यों हो जाते हैं लोग. You manifest it positively and you say कि ओके ये अपॉर्चुनिटी है, हमारी तरफ ध्यान नहीं आ रहा, बट हम लेके आएंगे, हम ऐसा पिच भेज देंगे कि लोग मना ही नहीं कर पाएंगे. So I will be there in the panel. I invite all the startup incubators who are working in the climate tech space. Do apply. It will be soon rolled out, and that is your opportunity. One more thing I would like to add here, कि whenever you are trying to tap funds with the CSRs, you're going to a CSR office, you're going to meet somebody who works in the CSR department or to their office, please do the homework of the corporate. Many a times, many NGOs, many fundraisers approach us, they approach us in a jiffy. कि एकदम से वो सेट प्रपोजल था, हमने भेज दिया. जस्ट फर्स्ट मूवर्स एडवांटेज हर बार ऐसा नहीं होता है कि फर्स्ट मूव कर लिया तो फर्स्ट मूव करके अगर आप अंदर आए तो पहले आप बाहर भी जाएंगे. सो यू हैव टू, एंड उसमें भी आपको होमवर्क में क्या करना है, रीड अबाउट देयर CSR पॉलिसी, रीड अबाउट देयर ESG रिपोर्ट, आजकल तो सबकी आ रही है, रीड अबाउट देयर सस्टेनेबिलिटी रिपोर्ट एंड सी वेयर दे आर डूइंग देयर प्रोजेक्ट्स. अब आप सेमीकंडक्टर की कंपनी को बोलोगे कि एग्रीकल्चर करो प्रोजेक्ट, तो यू हैव टू फाइंड एन अलाइनमेंट. सो विद दिस आईड लाइक टू जस्ट पॉज माई वर्ड्स एंड थैंक यू फॉर लिसनिंग टू मी. कई बार आपको जब आखिरी में बोलने का मौका मिलता है तो अच्छा ही होता है कि आपको अपनी तरफ से कुछ नहीं, आप जस्ट वो प्रीवियस पॉइंट्स अक्यूमुलेट कर लो और बोल दो. सो थैंक यू सो मच CII फॉर दिस इनिशिएटिव एंड थैंक यू सो मच फॉर इन्वाइटिंग मी. थैंक यू.
Just one point I wanted to say. I think these days fundraising has also becoming very there are many non-conventional ways are also coming. I think the NGOs should be little more proactive to tap to. For example, government has initiated social stock exchange. There are a lot of platforms. So, actually the big NGOs are able to tap to these, but the smaller NGOs are finding a challenge. Actually, organizations like CII, we should actually help them. But what I wanted to say is that please be proactive in leveraging these opportunities.
Another small thing I'll just add, sorry, bumping in, is social media. We consume everything on social media today. Please have your social media presence there and generate excitement. Make people share. You don't want to give me money? No problem. Can you please share my post? At least that much they can do.
Thank you so much, Chandrakant. Thank you, Asim. I think this, of all, rest everyone talks about policing. I think you talked about getting the money out, which is the toughest and the beginning of everything. So thank you so much. Very well covered. Can I now request Dr. Richa Datta? She's the Associate General Manager, Corporate Partnership, Resource Generation, CRI East and Northeast. Now, CRI itself is, as you know, a leading NGO in the country, and we thought there couldn't be better person to speak what an NGO must do and how they should conduct themselves, how they should work in this field for making a social change. Over to you.
Thank you so much, sir. Yeah, but I do think that it's very tricky to go last because I think I'm
after you, don't worry.
I think, yeah. So I think most of the points have been covered. And of course, I can sense a little bit of restlessness, but that's why I'll just be very quick. I'll try not to repeat whatever has been covered. A lot has been covered. So thanks to the panel already. I would actually want to start by thanking CII for getting the CSR universe together. So here it is so heartening to see that there are corporates, there are NGOs, there are people from the government, all coming together and the enthusiasm with which we are actually looking at getting funds for Northeast and for the region. It's just extremely, it makes me very happy personally. So when we talk about best practices for an NGO management, I would like to share the experience that I have had at CRY so far. So CRY is 45, 46 years old organization. I think we all remember it with those Archie's cards. That's the memory that we all get when we hear about CRY. But so, you know, whenever there are discussions in CRY that what are the good practices that we should follow, so, you know, it is always those policies or those systems like, you know, financial management system, donor management system, project management system, all of that is in place and these are good practices. But what makes these best practices is when we believe that, you know, when the premise of it is the values that the NGO holds and the accountability. And, you know, when I use the word accountability, I mean one is external accountability, which means you're accountable to your donor. So if I were a donor, I would want to trust an NGO who I know will, you know, who has that integrity, who has those values, that professionalism. NGOs are no longer that, like, you know, we have that feeling, no, ki jhola utha ke, like, it is no longer like that. The kind of professionalism with which NGOs report, be it financial reporting, be it quarterly reporting, sometimes it's monthly reporting, the progress reports, sharing of case stories, success stories, everything. If I were a donor, I would look at something like that. So I think that lens we should use as NGOs. I think this is one of the good practice, that to have that sort of accountability. However, I still feel that this accountability is, there is a higher form of, a higher degree of accountability when you're accountable to self and to children. So we work for children. So the cause that you're working for, if you are accountable to those, your beneficiaries, I think that is where, that is the highest form of accountability. Because maybe the external accountability, you know, at the end of the day, you have made the process, so you may know how to twist and turn it at times. But if it's for the self, for the children, then I don't think we ever go that way. So I think that highest form of accountability comes from the self, and that is the premise of all the policies that we hold at CRY. For example, when I joined CRY, my first visit, my first on-field visit, the first thing that I was given was a big child protection policy. I was made to read the policy, and I was told that these are the do's, don'ts. You know, you can't give chocolates or whatever to children. That's not the way to connect. So, you know, these small things. Immediately I joined, I had an orientation of the POSH, there's a POSH committee. So, you know, an organization, you get to know that, like, you know, the practices that are being followed these are the best practices. You understand when you are there and when you experience this. So the culture that, that an organization has, I think that makes all the difference. Just to give you another example, we have something called the RCM, the Regional Committee meetings. So people with varied skill sets, say a CA will come. I am, by education, I am like a lawyer. So I wear my legal hat and sit in that committee. There are other people who come from the development industry. So everybody together, we sit for an hour and a half, and analyze the projects, what can be done better, how can we take the children's perspective. We go out there, ask children, what do you want from this project? It doesn't matter what we want, what we think is right for you. You know what is right for you. You tell us, we will design the project accordingly. And then that kind of, those are the projects that are best received. Like, we have seen that projects that have community ownership, that have child ownership, are the ones that have done beautifully on ground. Like, you know, we've had sports for change projects wherein, like, you know, there have been instances that children in places where children were could not even think of wearing, say, jerseys and shorts, but girls are actually going out and playing kabaddi, which is like, you know, maybe a male-dominated sport, but children are actually going out there, playing that sport and doing really well. So I thought that is the kind of value that we stand for. So I think a good practice can be made into the best practice that an NGO can follow if if at the heart, the accountability is towards your donor and towards self. So here I think I'd like to again hand it over to Sir.
Thank you so much, Richa. It was really a great expose to what CRY does. I am also a donor to CRY, so now at least I've got a face to it. So it was earlier online and didn't know where it was going. So now I know where it goes and what you do.
Going to children, don't worry.
No, that the whole idea of putting in the money was because of children. So that was the whole idea. It is great to meet in flesh and bone the person managing this. So thank you very much. And I think I'll go there because I can't see the slides.
Actually, that was logical. You worked out better.
Still on? I close the laptop, will it work? Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, I thought I would come in at the end to make some important announcements. So if you're getting restless, I can put your restlessness to rest. There are certain things that you must listen to, because this is not about what we are doing today and what we have done till now. It is about what we are going to do tomorrow, day after, day after, and 365 days later. So I think that is the reason why I'm saying please stay back and don't please get so restless as someone brought out. But I think everyone sitting here is total concentration. That is the best part. So, okay, scene. So how this idea came up, I just wanted to, I give a little background to it. We did a CSR investment summit in Nagaland. Now in that we could get together almost 175 corporates from across India. Many of them could not travel, so whoever could not travel went online and did that. In fact, we had a session in which the governor, the chief minister, our president, everyone was there, and we had almost about I think 50 or 60 top corporate heads coming online, and rest of them were in the hall. In the hall, I remember ONGC gave a very, very passionate speech. You remember? So it was a great, successful, very, very successful project, and in that time, the government of Nagaland had put together 400 projects in one place, and most of the projects they did not have to pitch, they did not have to ask anyone what to do. The list we had. And believe it, I remember what I did to Boeing. Boeing was not invited initially. I suddenly remembered that one of these things looks like what Boeing was doing. So I just rang up Praveena. I said, Praveena, listen, there is a thing which looks very close to your this thing. Do you want to talk? Do you want to? So she said, yes, I'm very much on board. 2 minutes later, we were on a con call with the Joint Secretary of IDAN, and half an hour later, I think 2 crores was invested. So that is the type of success we met. So that was, and after that I'll come to what did I, okay. Am I changing or? Okay. So, no, kabhi it is out of tune, so I thought probably. Yeah, it does. It does. I couldn't agree with you more. I am totally corrupted. So coming to the, we want to sustain this project. We want to sustain this project not for one day or for 1 year. We want to sustain this project for the next 5 to 6 years minimum. And that is where we have started off. And we are very lucky that our Vice President, Mr. Mukundan himself, has jumped into the arena, and he has made sure that he has briefed the corporates himself, not through us, that we will carry this forward. And we have formed a strategic planning group out of the steering committee that we had created. The strategic planning group is going to look at long-term CSR Connect for the Northeast, so that we can get a funnel which is permanent and which always is able to channelize funds to the NGOs in the Northeast through the best corporates in the country, be it PSCs, be it private sector, everyone. In fact, the steering committee has a sprinkling of all corporates in it. So, so as I said, anticipated 5-6 years. Now, this particular conclave was inaugurated by the finance minister herself, and when she saw how good it was going, she suggested that this should be taken to rest of Northeast, and that was what motivated us to make this sustainable model and take it forward. Now, some of the success stories that came out of Nagaland, I just want to put across, so that when we look at rest of Northeast and the other states there, we know this is what can happen. This is out of one initiative. Now, look at the these things, a histopathology lab put up by Numaligarh, mobile science center by Gale, then IBM set up a IBM STEM and skills building center. There are some of them missing also. J&K Tires has done a fantastic amount of work. I don't find their listing. I think we'll have to next time make sure they are there. Credit outreach. I am told this Boeing initiative, they used to get 16 crores in a year, you know, credit from the banks and all. And that year they made 160 crores. That was the type of jump that happened because of the facilitation that this Boeing small cell that has been able to do and be a bridge between the government, not the government, the NGOs, the MSMEs, the startups, and on the other hand, the banks. They have gone to the extent of sitting down with the people who are asking for credit, filling out their forms in the best possible way so that they get the loans that they are looking for. Then look at this priority medical equipment, Youth Development Animation Center in Kohima by Boeing again. And all this is out of that 400 list that I showed Boeing. Then CII also has a CII Industrial Connect, we call it ICON. Now under that we have done a program in which they pitched, the startups there pitched to investors all over the country. We have, if you look at the toilet facility down there, again Boeing got into it. They created in Dimapur, in the backward and the hinterland, they put up a lot of these modern toilets. This dialysis center was the first one that was put up with the help of someone called Doctors for You, 10-bedded one in Dimapur. And the biggest project that came out of this is the one which is second last over here, a nursing college which trains nurses and trains paramedics, has been taken over by Boeing to run for 2 or 3 years. Year on year there would be the staff, the funding of running that has been given over to them. So this is which I thought I would highlight to say that if one state could go till here, I am sure this CSR Connect would go even further. Also what we did, we went to Nagaland. The government was very proactive, because of which all this happened, and through this display that I am doing, I am requesting any other state government who is sitting here, in case they are, and in case not, we have the good officers of all the corporates who could highlight that this is what is the success that one state could bring. Let us do it in all other states. Let's replicate all that. So he is the CEO of IDAN, who participated in the CSR, capacity building. Dr. Leena was also there as one of the people who acted like a shark tank, tore apart the NGOs, when they made their presentation, we made them do dummy presentations at the end of the 3-day session or 2-day session. And when they presented their dummy projects, she was the most ruthless. And I think that all those guys, the people who are trained there, maximum number are sitting here with some very, very professional work, very, very professional presentations and projects that they put together. And I thank Dr. Leena for her indulgence. There was M. Nimaligarh was also there. We had about 4 such judges. I think Shark Tank has got 5. So with lesser number of people, we did better. They have 3. Okay. We had 3. They have 5. So Shark Tank, we were better than Shark Tank. So now this is one of the most important things that I wanted to bring out, and this is that for the remaining part of this year, what we plan to do is all the stakeholders on a quarterly basis, which we will reach out to them through emails with probably a format in which we would request the corporates and the NGOs who have decided to put together their heads and work on a particular project to keep telling us where they have reached, where if they have a problem, what is the problem, and in case CII is in a position to help, we will help. If we are not able to help, if something else is extraneous factor is there, we could help in advising them as to what is to be done. So every quarter we plan to send out this thing and get a feedback from the NGOs as well as the CSR donating agencies to see how we can do this. And for that, I put a word LOI on top. If you see, this is the letter of intent. So my request to all, this form is available at the reception over here. So you could contact Sneha. Sneha, could you just get up for a minute? So she is the one who would be holding the forms. I've given it to her and not distributed it to everyone with the purpose that anyone who takes the form once one is ready with a project which has been agreed to between the NGO and the corporate. So we will write down the name so that we can track that ourselves also in a proactive manner. Otherwise, if I were to distribute this form, it would be a passive way of doing things which may not work. So that is the reason why she is holding the forms, and the moment you take that, please put your name there. And in that we want both sides to just sign. It is not a legal document. It is not a document which says that you have to do it. But today I have the intent of helping this NGO for doing this project which costs this much. So at least we can take this forward that way. So yeah, so this is the format of the LOI. In the end, we have made a disclaimer too. This is not a legal document, and both of them sign, and we assure you that we will take a picture when you sign. And actually, we are going to put it on the CII website. We are going to put it on the website and follow this up. We also have an expression of interest form, EOI form, which has been distributed to everyone. In this, everyone who wants to make a request to any company, a corporate making a request for a NGO of a particular theme, or a NGO with a particular theme looking for a particular investment from a particular company, please put on these 2 names and give it to us. We will organize the B2Bs, the ones that has happened today already. And we've got on the ground floor, we have a room which you would have all seen by now, where the B2Bs are being held. Though I see people having B2Bs over a cup of tea outside in the veranda also, down below also, so that is all okay. But this is a structured form that we were trying to give it. And so Q1 review, 3rd week of February. Sorry, this is, what have you given? So 3rd week of May 2025, August 25, November 25. No, sorry, the dates are, we have to prepone it because the first one will happen 3 months from today. 3 months from today. So that is the timelines that we will go by, and at the end, this is CSR Connect 2024. We'll have CSR Connect 2025 coming up. The dates will be announced, but before that, this particular route we plan to chart. So I have come to the end of my presentation, and I, on behalf of CII, especially CII Northeast, CII CSR head, I thank all the esteemed panelists over here for having shared your best practices, for giving your advice, for giving your insights into how an NGO would become more competitive. Like we said, it is not that bad. CSR does not, I think, go to the level of Shark Tanks, but that is where we have to reach professionally. And thank you very much for sharing your insights. Think Tank. Good name. We'll call it that. So thank you very much. And before we end, I just want to make a very important announcement. So if you look at your agenda for tomorrow's events, we were starting with an impact stories of business-driven social change. This was the corporates were to give their talk. Now, after that, we were having a session, valedictory session with the minister, the Minister of State, the External Affairs and Textiles, a very important thing, because as we brought out, and if you see all the exhibits, textiles is a very important grassroots level thing that today it holds almost 76% of those looms are held in Northeast of the whole country. And today, if you look at handmade clothes or cloth or textile, in the world we have a major standing, because majority of the things come from this side. So Mr. Pavitra Margarita has had consented to come, but because of some commitment of the parliamentary session, he would be coming at 10 o'clock tomorrow. So the first session starts with the minister coming here, and thereafter the rest of the thing will follow. So there is a switch. So with that, we come to an end for day one, and thank you everyone. Thank you for being so patient and humoring us enough that we didn't feel left out at all. Thank you so much.
It was value for time.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Brigadier, and thank you to our esteemed panel of speakers. And to show a token of our appreciation, I would like to request Brigadier Ashish Bhattacharya to share a small memento with the panelists. With the frame. Thank you so much all for attending, and with that we conclude the first day. A gentle reminder again, kindly requesting all the delegates to be in the hall by 9:30 so that we can commence the Minister of State session at 10 o'clock promptly. Thank you so much, and thank you for joining us today.